Pete has lived in the Crystal Valley for almost 5 years. As a storyteller, he's performed at the Raconteur Denver, the Denver Museum of Contemporary Art, Planet V Festival, and the Snowmass Collective. Equal parts dreamer and doer, he is enchanted with other people's stories and finds the art of storytelling to be a strong conduit for human connection in a world that desperately needs it. He's the author of the yet-to-be-published Bad Calvin Days, and can also be found on Substack. Once considered a spiritual leader as a fundamentalist Christian high school, he is very thankful not that fucking guy anymore. He is a member of the Aspen Writers Network, and he works day-to-day as a real estate broker here in the Valley. Let's give it up for Pete Lamond.
Thank you, everyone. Wow, look at this. I'm gonna bring this up a little bit. Look at this turnout. Thanks everyone for coming. This was a thing Chris and I talked about. It's our second one, and we have a packed room, so thank you. This doesn't happen without you. So tonight's theme is influence. And we can all tell stories about influence. The theme is kind of loose like Anders' costume at Mountain Fair. What is influence? What could a story about influence be? It could be about that person on top of Highlands Mountain who took like 30 selfies and then wasn't able to ski down. It could be about a mentor you had. It could be about being under the influence. So many different options. We have 3 featured storytellers tonight. I'm gonna pop in with one of my own. And then we have an open mic portion. So any of you who wish to tell your story, we'd love to have you. We try to keep it for the open mic 3 minutes or less. No notes is the rule. And I'll start, well, I have notes for the virus. Thank you, Olivia. Everybody who knows Olivia knows that, she kind of has a little bit of a cough in her. So throughout the evening, I'll offer that up and we can do it by a raise of hands. But for now, I would like to introduce our first storyteller, Nooni Zini. Nooni is a multifaceted being devoted to deep and authentic connection with the world around her. More creature than human. She moves through life with curiosity, depth, and play. Of movement artist and aspiring musician, she finds joy in listening to the stories of others as much as she enjoys sharing her own. Let's give it up for Nooni. Lower.
Me. Okay. Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here. I'm going to do my best. I might talk slow sometimes because I get nervous. Here we go. Okay. So I grew up in a Mexican-Lebanese Muslim family in Los Angeles, California. My mother's Mexican and converted to Islam before she married my father. And my father immigrated from Lebanon when he was 17 years old. And I am the only daughter and the blessed middle child, and definitely the family favorite, although my brothers might say otherwise. And we grew up in a very vibrant Muslim community in LA. So I grew up with a lot of aunts and uncles, so many kids my age, and my 3 best friends are named Hannah, Nyla, and Shireen, and their parents grew up, or not, they didn't grow up with my parents, but they were very close with my parents. So these girls were always in my life. There was never a time when they weren't. I knew them before I could walk. We're still very, very close today. And so growing up in this community was beautiful. We gathered at least once a month. During Ramadan, we gathered weekly, and it was filled with a sense of community and belonging and a lot of food, and it was beautiful. And like any tight-knit community, there came a lot of judgment and a lot of gossip. And I have always been different. I I've always asked a lot of questions. I always saw through a lot of the bullshit. I always, I just thought differently than the people around me. And when I was younger, I went to a Muslim Arabic school from preschool all the way through 6th grade. And in 6th grade, I got suspended 5 times in 1 year. Who does that? I'm a 12-year-old revolutionary, obviously. And so I was also very boy crazy. I was always daydreaming about falling in love at Disneyland. And let's just say I was not the model Muslim girl. And so when I was about 14-ish, Nyla's older sister, Aisha, who's also one of my closest friends, told me that her parents told her that her and Nyla couldn't hang out with me as much because I was a bad influence. And this was coming from people that knew me my entire life. They knew me since I was in diapers, and that really stung because while I was curious and mischievous and thought a little bit differently than everyone around me, I didn't think I was bad. And it was hard to not internalize that, and I did. I quietly held those words for years, always questioning, maybe they were right, maybe I am bad. And so fast forward a decade later, I continued to live my unconventional life, and I moved to Thailand at age 23. And I lived there on and off for about 4 years. And in 2019, I was living in California for a few months, and I had no intention on going back to Thailand other than to visit. And in September of 2019, I had this really clear and profound dream that told me I needed to go back to Thailand in February of 2020. And I didn't understand why, but it was one of those dreams that you don't question. And so I followed it. Followed my dream, kids. And because of that, I was on a magical hippie island in southern Thailand when the whole world shut down. So in March of 2020, I was on this island, and being on this island was very different from the rest of the world, because on this island, like the island itself locked down immediately, so there were no newcomers. And so after about 3 weeks, there were no new cases, and I was like, okay, cool, sweet, we're good. And life went back to normal. There was no big parties, no big events, everything went underground, but life went back to normal. It was such a time of connection and play for me, and it was like in more than any other period of my life, I hung out with my friends more in that period than in any other chapter, and that remains to be true today. And that was so different than what was happening in the rest of the world, and I knew that, and I knew how fortunate I was. And so after about 4 months of no new cases, they're like, okay, Thailand relaxes their rules, and okay, life can somewhat go even more back to normal. And so there was this big welcome back party. And so naturally, a group of us got on a boat at 4 a.m. because that's the best way to show up to a 24-hour beach party on the other side of the island. And I'm not happy about it. I'm pissed. I'm not a morning person. I'm like, I don't understand. Why am I awake right now? It's still dark. And so we're going through the sea. It's pitch black, and slowly, dawn starts to break, and the sun starts to come up, and the sound of the bass is ever so slowly reaching us on the water. I'm like, okay, I did this for a reason. Okay, it's worth it. Okay, and we start to get closer. The sun continues to come up, and we can finally see the party. And the bass gets louder, and we're getting closer, and I'm starting to get excited, like, this is so cool, whoa. And so finally the sun is high enough, and the sun was setting over the horizon of the sea, and it was so beautiful. And so we finally are pulling up to the beach. The sand, it's a white sand beach with turquoise waters. The music is going, and I'm just having this moment of like, wow, how am I here right now? Like, it felt like there was like breath being, it was like what are the words here? there was like breath coming back into the collective after months of tension and pain. And somehow I was there for it. And so I'm having this moment of just like really taking it in, like, okay, this is cool. So we touch down, we get off the boat, and about 10 of us decide to take a really strong dose of LSD. And so we do. and one of those friends, his name's Evie. And Evie and I, we were partners for the day. Like he was my brother and I was his sister. Anything we needed, we were each other's people. And Evie, my relationship with Evie was really, it continues to be very special for so many reasons. He is Israeli and Jewish, and I am Muslim and Lebanese. And in the eyes of many, our friendship shouldn't exist. We shouldn't be dancing together the way that we do through life, but we were. And that day we danced. We danced so hard. We got so weird on that dance floor. We were so animalistic, making crazy sounds at each other, weird faces, play fighting in the sand, rolling around. Like, it was so much fun. And yeah, and after 16 hours of dancing, Evie, it was a 24-hour party. Got there at 5 a.m. And so after 16 hours of dancing, we were just laying down in the white sand, taking in the night and day and sunset, all of it, just taking in all of it. And we're laying there, and Evie turns to me, and he says, and I look at him, and we're just laying there looking at each other, and he's like, Uni, I feel like I can be weird with you. Thank you. And I just smiled. There's nothing to say in that moment. And a few days later, I was able to share with him how those simple words, how much they actually meant to me. And that for many years of my life, I had been looked at and called a bad influence for simply being myself. And here in that moment, my influence made him feel safe enough to be more of himself. And so, yeah, maybe in that moment I had the realization that I do have an influence on people. And it's not the way that they said it so many years ago, but it's a way in which invites more truth for the people around me. And that's the influence that I wish to have on people as I continue to move through the world. One that invites our most wild and authentic selves, and one that allows us to be who we are. Thank you.